Okay, thanks very much for coming, everyone. It's very rare that I get a chance to welcome someone who's an actual friend rather than just a work colleague. I've known Deepak for a few years now. He came out when I used to be at University of Central Lancashire. We invited him out to give a seminar.
Yep.
One of the few times we've ever invited a PhD student to come give a seminar, because his reputation preceded him in terms of his talk abilities. Deepak was doing his PhD at Keele in astrophysics. He worked on the detection of, working on exoplanets and the detection of atmospheres around exoplanets using things like infrared satellites to detect the warm atmosphere that's lit up by a host star. And then decided to go off and make his millions after finishing his PhD by moving into data science. He works now down in London at Pivigo, which is one of the big data science companies. Now, some of you, I don't know everyone's cross-section in terms of background, but if I just looked at physics, for example, my area, and I look at what the career trajectories of physicists are, what they are. So they're only about 1 in 5, 20% become physicists, let's say, like me or Dr. Kelly sitting there, or go off into maybe becoming an educator, whether it's primary, secondary school, colleges. So only about 20%, same thing with maths degrees. People don't get maths degrees to become mathematicians or physics degrees to become physicists. Both of those degrees are incredibly flexible, and it affords you career trajectories that are not open to you potentially with other degrees. So if I made a histogram of where 500 graduates in the Institute of Physics have done this, what you find is that it's not a one column which is physics becomes physicist. If it was a medical degree, yes, everyone becomes. If you do a nursing degree, you become a nurse. A midwife degree, you become a midwife. Physicists, you're spread across a wide range of things. Mathematicians, the same thing. And if you look at what the big growth industry is, it's exactly this area. If you look, people are going into the financial sector, economic forecasting, big data, data mining, data analytics, data science, all these buzz terms that are around. This is a big growth area across all of the STEM subjects. And while I may speak primarily from a physicist perspective, it probably applies to basically everyone sitting in here in this room right now, that this is something that is a growth industry, and we're lucky to have someone who is sort of at the vanguard in terms of growing that within the UK. So I will turn things over to Deepak.
Thank you.
He's going to wow you.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here. This is one of my favourite universities. I've been here a couple of times now, and it is a pleasure to be introduced by my very good friend, Brad. So data science. It is a buzzword, but it has been described as the sexiest job of the 21st century. And I hope to show you in this talk why. Before I start, I should probably tell you why I made the transition myself. So after my PhD, it became pretty clear to me that I would have to move around every 3 years, or 4 years. And I wanted to start settling down. I wanted to start having a family. I wanted to have something that gave me career progression that was more finite. So as Brad said earlier, the chance of getting a full-time professorship is very small. And it's sad because I love the field I was in. But data science, as I hope I will show you in my presentation, is going to give you everything that you've worked hard for and more. And I hope that it will help you as well. So make a decision. So the first thing I should say is obviously I'm from Pivigo, and our role in this community sense is to help academics transition from science into data science. And I'll talk about how we do that a little bit later on. But one of the things that helped me understand the field and to understand what I could do in the field of data science was the company newsletter. Now it might seem to a lot of people like it's just going to be a newsletter that's spam, it's going to come into your email box, but actually it was very informative. So not only do we give you a little bit of information about what we've actually been up to as a scale-up business in the field of data science, we tell you there's competitions that we run to give you tickets to like really interesting conferences. So I was very fortunate to be at PyData in London this year. There are other events like Strata, so you have chances to win these tickets. But also at the end of it, the most useful part was the blogs. Now how many people here actually read blogs? Any kind of blog? Okay, what do you read a blog for, sir? Fitness. Okay, why do you read that blog? Information. So we realise this is why people generally read blogs, but they read blogs because they're genuinely interested in something. So in our newsletter, we have 2 blogs. We have one about data science being used from a business perspective and how it's being used to grow that industry or make insights into that industry. And we also have a perspective from someone who's been through our course, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But that specifically is talking about their journey or something that they feel that you guys need to know to make this change. So please feel free to fill us out. If you could use block capitals, it would make my life a lot easier when I have to put it into our system. But it is one of the most useful resources I ever had. So please feel free to fill that out. And what I hope to explain and talk to you about is what is data science. Okay, so just to get a feel, how many people here are undergraduates? Cool. How many people are postgraduates, masters, and PhDs, and postdocs/staff? Hey, here we go. So, yeah. So this talk contains all of the information I wish I'd got when I was in the 3rd year of my PhD. But also it gives information to you as undergraduates to what you should go and practice and what you should try and take away from your degree, I hope. Please feel free to follow us on our social media. We have loads of really cool articles, and you might see pictures of me dressed as a unicorn running around London last few months ago, which was quite good fun. And if you want to know more about that, I can tell it to you afterwards. But before I start, everybody here obviously is interested in jobs. It's a big topic right now. So LinkedIn, please get your LinkedIn sorted out, right? Your LinkedIn is your virtual CV to the world. So when it comes to applying for jobs, a lot of places will have easy apply through LinkedIn. If your LinkedIn is fully up to date, fully filled out with everything in it, you're very, very likely going to get a call from that recruiter or that job agency. So yes, please do that. And also, I'll tell you why you should register with Pivigo.com a little bit later as well, but keep that in mind. So you're probably wondering who this guy in front of you actually is. So I have my undergraduate was in Maths and Astronomy at the University of Sheffield. I went on to study for my PhD in Keele, and like I said, towards the end of it, it became quite clear to me that it wasn't really what I wanted to do, unfortunately. As much as I loved the field, as much as I loved what I was doing, it wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. Okay, I wanted something that had a good work-life balance, that got me out of bed in the morning just like my PhD did, that actually made me want to go to work and really make a difference. You know, really make a difference. So I went on to the Data Science Bootcamp, which is something I'll talk about later on. I finished that, and I went on to be an insight analyst for a gaming company, and now I work at Pivago as a community manager and a data scientist. So my role as a community manager is to give talks like this to tell you guys that you are ready to be data scientists. In fact, you already are data scientists, just not in by name. And the transition from data science to from academia to industry is actually very straightforward, very easy to do, and actually doesn't take very long. And as a data scientist, I get to work on some really cool internal projects to help the company grow and scale up to reach more people and to do better in the world than we did last year. So does anybody here heard of the Harvard Business Review? No? Or has anyone heard of Hillary Mason? No? Okay, 2 things. You should probably you don't have to read it all, but just be aware of it. Have a little bit of a dip into it, see what you think, because it's a very insightful publication, and Hillary Mason is always a very interesting speaker anyway. But about maybe 5 years ago, this phrase was coined. Data is the new oil. Now, the reason for that statement is because every day we are doing things which is collecting our data. It could be just browsing the internet to wearing a smartwatch, right? It doesn't matter, your data is being collected. And in this day and age, especially after the Cambridge Analytica scandal, people are a lot more hesitant to give away their data. So for example, when I was at that conference over the weekend, I could get a free coffee if I handed over my email address. Now, I don't mind it because as a data scientist I know how powerful and how good that company was. But a lot of people find it scary. But actually it makes a lot of difference in the world. Now it might seem very small, but for example, recommendation engines, finding out what people have bought, selling them something else, might sound very trivial. But actually it can, not only can it make your experience of a website better, but it can make a company more seen in a better light, for example. So for example, Netflix. Does anybody here use Netflix? So you know when you watch a movie, and it then says, oh, you watched Lost in Space, you should probably watch Battlestar Galactica. That's data science in action. The algorithm is seeing what you have watched, compared it to what others have watched, and recommending you more relevant products. But that probably makes you come back to like Netflix more, gives you more relevant recommendations the more you watch. And actually the code behind building a recommendation engine is actually very, very interesting. But after this big boom in data came the fact that we didn't really know how to analyze it. There was a skills gap. Data science was born about 5 years ago, and probably about the same time this phrase came out. Data scientist is the sexiest job of the 21st century. And I hope that as I get through this presentation, it will show you why it's such an incredibly vibrant field. Why we as academics from STEM backgrounds are so ready to be data scientists in the commercial world, and how much good we can do in the world, I hope. And how much fun it is. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want, right? Who wants to go to work thinking, oh, I have to go to work? I want to go to work because I genuinely enjoy what I'm doing, right? That's what we all do now. We genuinely enjoy our degrees. We genuinely enjoy doing our PhDs or our masters. So come on, this is supposed to be a happy talk. So please interrupt me, ask me questions whenever you want. You know, I'm not here to bite. I'm here to help and advise. Okay, I'm not a salesman. I couldn't sell candy to a baby, but I can tell you about data science. I hope. Why should you be interested in data science? This is a question I get asked pretty much by every academic that I give this talk to. The first thing is that the transition is very easy. And the reason the transition is easy is because you're genuinely doing it now. You're coding, you're using statistical inference, you're looking at data, you're trying to gain the most information out of that data. And because of this skills gap, right, there is a massive demand for us. And as we said earlier, the harsh reality of academia is that 1% of you will go on to get a postdoc. 1% of that 1% will go on to get a second postdoc. And probably about 1% of that 1% will go on to get some form of lectureship position. And as much as that really pained me when I made this transition, when I looked into what data science actually does for the world and what I would actually be doing on a day-to-day basis, not only is the impact faster, but also the stuff that you're doing now is essentially the same. So you don't have to change, which is always very nice. And of course, you know, we live in a money age, in a money time, in a money world, so money talks. So here's a question. How much does a junior data scientist earn in their first year, straight out of the PhD? Call it London for now, but yeah, in the UK roughly. What do you think? You're not allowed to answer this question. I know you've done the research.
27 grand.
27 grand, okay.
35,000.
Sorry?
23.
23, okay.
35.
35. Any more? So, roughly, a data scientist in their first year will roughly earn somewhere between 35,000 and 45,000 pounds a year. But the progression within data science as a person, the stuff you'll learn, is very, very quick. So you will go from being a junior data scientist to being a senior data scientist in probably somewhere in the region of 4 or 5 years. You'll be leading a team in 4 or 5 years. You'll be making instant impact from day one, and you will have fun doing it. And it's such a fast-paced environment, right? So PhD students here, guys, how long did it take you to write your first paper?
Still doing it.
Still doing it?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 years.
2.5 years? And how long did it take you to get it published?
Still not in that yet, but it's like a week or so.
Okay.
2 weeks.
Brad, how long does it take you to get a paper published now? From writing it to acceptance?
Well, the average is from submission.
So submission to
actual publication is typically 90 days.
90 days.
So add on however long it takes you to write the paper, I guess. If you're a veteran, it might be a few months.
Mhm.
If it's something you're doing for your PhD, it might be a couple of years.
Okay.
Those sort of numbers.
Yeah. So how long do you think from when you get your hands on the keyboard in the company to actually adding to the code base do you think it is as a data scientist? Given that time scale I've just given you there. On average.
7.
7. I would probably say it's probably going to be much less than that, because the majority of data scientists are hired because they need to do stuff now. There's a vast amount of data within lots of companies that needs to be analysed, understood, and impacts made quickly. And the pace at which that's done is incredibly quick, and it's incredibly adventurous, and you're going to be learning from some of the biggest names in data science in your company. I work alongside my head of data science, for example, and I've only been with the company a year, and I get to do stuff that helps the business grow now. So it is incredibly fast-paced. There is very little lag time between starting and actually adding stuff in. So as you can have a classical definition of something, okay, for something that's only been around for 5 years, if that, really speaking, in name, data science is this. It's a combination of computer science, statistics, and some form of domain knowledge. But I actually prefer to think of data science as a toolbox. It's a toolbox of techniques that you can use to bring data to life. Provide incredibly valuable insights into that data and add value to the company by building products, improving services, and things like that. So there was a really interesting article on Medium the other day that said, what's the difference between data science, machine learning, and AI? So the way they said it is data science is insights, machine learning is predictions, and AI is actions. Now, that might seem quite abstract, but you as scientists know how to use those tools already. And what that means is you can make those insights quicker, you can make them now, and your work that you do this week could be presented to the board the next week or very, very soon. And your advice, your recommendations or your work will be made in that company shortly after. So for example, my role, I get to report into weekly, I would say, or if not a little bit more than that, my CEO, my COO, my head of marketing, and my head of data science. So I straddle lots of different teams. And data science is just that. It's so cross-platform, right? So you'll be working with all areas of your business to understand not just how you work in your team, but how your team works with every other team within the business and how to communicate with those people. Because communication is the most important thing in business. And you guys have been communicating your results to technical and non-technical audiences for your entire career. So make sure you highlight that skill. Right? It's the most important skill you have over every technical skill you can ever pick up. So how many people, when they think of a career outside of academia, regardless of what field you're in, they see this? Yeah? Yeah? Who sees that? I saw that. As a grad student, that's what I saw. But the more I read into the field, the more I realized that data science is applicable to every single field out there. For example, yes, financial trading, quantitative analysts, looking for trends in the stock market. Yes, that's one thing you can do. But what about if you could optimize logistics? For example, UPS in the States and Canada, they stopped turning right because you don't have to turn. You can turn. No, they stopped turning left because you can turn right on red. Right? That saved them money on fuel. It allowed them to get more precise delivery times to people in the US and Canada, so that people didn't have to wait at home for the whole day. That was all done through data science and logistics, optimization algorithms. You know, technology, simple things can make a big difference. So, for example, has anyone here actually used, not by accident, Siri or Alexa? Yeah? So that is an example of data science in action. Right? That is using voice recognition and natural language processing to search the internet to find what you're looking for. But not just that, it can make a big difference to someone's life. For example, if you're a blind person, you can't always you can never read your screen, right? But you're going to get messages from your kids, you're going to get messages from your family. And simply by saying, "Hey Siri, read me my text," has opened a whole new world to you that you've never had. The impact that makes on a group of people, that's massive. And that is using data science. And the cool thing is that your skills are transferable so quickly across these sectors right now. So you could start off life working in marketing and social media. The same tools, the same techniques can be applied to retail, or the automotive sector, or the media sector, or any other sector out there. Okay? And that is the thing you always must remember when you do transition into data science. Is that data science is applicable to every sector. The only difference is the data. The tools are exactly the same. Why data science for me? Or why did I make this transition? 3 main reasons. 1, I loved bringing data to life. As a graduate student, that was using IDL, which I wish I'd never learned. But I was using IDL to turn dots on a page to bringing stars to life. The story of a planet orbiting that star. As a data scientist, I could be using customer data to understand my customers better, to make sure that they are sent targeted emails that make sense to them. So, for example, Amazon, before the invention of all this cool stuff, would send every person in their customer base the same recommending email. Hey, this is the stuff that's on sale, for example. Now, they'll look at you, they'll say, right, you like to buy sports gear, you like to buy homeware, or you like to buy this. They'll tailor that email to you because those products are more relevant to you because of the stuff you bought. Right? That's exciting for me, being able to understand my customers better, to give them a better service. And that's just a retail example. There's millions of others out there. Technology, right? I love technology. Does anyone not like technology? Who have interest? Yeah, who has a smartwatch? Yeah. Who astronomers here, right? Do you guys use cloud computing, or do you have massive data sets that are stored over massive arrays, right? Those skills are so powerful, right? I get to use the latest and greatest technology to make my insights more relevant to my business or to whatever you're doing. So this could be simply using something like Hadoop, because your data is just so big it doesn't stand on one computer alone. It has to be distributed over multiple computers. Right? Or you might be working in the IoT sector using Spark to understand home sensors. Right? It's all these things that are just buzzwords that actually come together in a field you get to use on a daily basis. And most of them are free, really, which is quite cool. But this here is the number one reason I made the transition. Impact. I wanted to help people. So I found that, by the time I got my paper published, even now I only have six citations. I think maybe 50 people have read it, because there's only 50 people in the world who would actually want to read it. The English wasn't very good. But, the impact of your work is now. Right? You might put something together very quickly, and it will be put into the code base now, and it will make a difference to that company now. Right? You don't have to wait 10 years for it to actually come to life. It's there. And you can see it. Right? You go to the board, you'll go to your team leader, you'll go to your head of marketing, whoever it is, and say, look, here are some results. You should put this into practice and play with it and try it. Something really simple like an A/B test. You've got a website. Let's change the color of the sign-up button. Right? Filter our people off into 2 different sectors. Does it make a difference? Right? Those little things can make a big difference in the grand scheme of things. And you get to do it now. Right now. So I've told you all of this cool stuff. But there's a lot of people, I'm sure of you, who are still a little bit unsure about how ready you are to be data scientists. So let's say you've all finished your master's degrees or your PhDs. How ready do you think you are at that point to being a data scientist on a scale from 0 to 100%? Be honest, I thought I was like 10% ready at the time. What do you think?
Yeah, about 10.
10%? What about you, sir? What do you think?
Maybe 40.
40? No? What about you?
About
30?
30.
What about you?
15.
15? Careers guys at that, how ready do you think they are?
100%.
Shatter your expectations here.
Oh.
Sorry, too easy. I love a good bad joke. You know, honestly, you are 90% ready to being data scientists because you already are. That's the thing that I want you to understand. You are data scientists now. There's only one thing you're missing. You have all those engineering skills. You can code. The most powerful tool in the world after communication is code. You have this maths background that makes you can make, you know, complex algorithms do your bidding, right? And you can use complex statistics to do that really easily. You're skeptical. You don't believe stuff until it's been tested multiple times. Okay? You have an innate curiosity to ask more questions. You want to know why. You always keep asking yourself, but why that? But why this? But why that? Your communication is gonna get you anywhere in the universe. Okay? Honestly, that is the biggest thing that people don't understand is that they can do it. And they've been doing it for years. And I'll talk about how to get this last piece of the puzzle, this commercial experience, in a second. But what I really love to do is to give you guys something. I don't just come here to talk to you and evangelize, oh, this is awesome, go do it. I want you to just go away with the tools to know what you need. How do I do this? Well, the first thing is you need some form of computer programming. Now, does anyone here not program yet? That's fine. Don't worry about it. It takes about a year. You'll be fine. Go learn one of these two. Even if you guys have already coded for ages, if you're not using one of these two, try and learn it. Because these are the most two highly used programming language in data science. And actually, it doesn't matter which one. I'm personally a Python guy because that was the one I learned when I finished my degree. So I finished my PhD in 2016 when I graduated, and I had IDL on my CV, and I got looked at like, what? What's IDL? And that's because it's basically only used in astrophysics and medical physics, apparently. As much as a cool language it is, it's expensive. So businesses can't afford to buy it. So these two are free, they're open source, and even better, the documentation is stellar. I daily go on Stack Overflow or onto sklearn's info pages to understand what's this actually doing. Okay? But as long as you can have a proficiency of I can do this with the help of Google and Stack Overflow, you're fine. So yeah, please go learn one of those two. And if you're using Python or R, download Jupyter Notebooks from Anacondas. The best tool I ever had for writing code, because you can use it as, I like to think of it as the Pythonic equivalent of a lab book, but it actually also runs R, which is great. It's very easy. You can have multiple environments. You can have multiple packages installed, just to make your life very, very straightforward. It's very good. Go check it out. This is a buzzword. This is a buzzword if I've ever heard one, and it's very annoying when people just say, machine learning does this. Yes, it does, but it does linear regression too. But machine learning is incredibly powerful, right? It can allow you to build some of the coolest and most helpful tools out there. So, for example, you could use machine learning to build a recommendation engine, for example. Or you could use it to segment your customer bases, to classify all these customers are the same, all of these customers are the same, and everything in between. But yes, you should definitely go away and do a course in machine learning. This is one that actually I didn't use as part of my graduate degree, but I really wish I had, because all of the data that I was gaining was actually stored in the database. Now there's lots of different kinds of database out there, but to start with, I highly recommend you go and learn structured query language, SQL. It's a tool, a language that allows you to interface with a relational database, and the majority of your data is going to be stored in a relational database. And it's actually a very easy language to pull up, very, very straightforward. It'll take about 2 hours to learn it, most of the stuff you need to know. And actually, both Python and R have packages that allow you to write SQL code within their environment, so you can pull your data directly into your code, which is very helpful. And this is kind of what I felt standing at with my certificate and my funny hat at the end of my PhD, and I'm like, right, I'm going to go learn all this stuff. But actually, where do I go? There's like a million courses out there for Python. There's like 6 for R and about 3 million for SQL. What do I do? So back in 2016, I literally had to hunt around the jungle of the internet trying to find the right course for me. But now it's a lot easier. So I did say earlier, I tell you why you should register with Pivigo.com. Within Pivigo.com, one of the things we have is the resources section. And in that resources section, we have a whole bunch of stuff designed to help you upskill. Some of this stuff is blogs about general data science. Some of this stuff is careers advice about data science. Some of this stuff is courses, tutorials, and blogs about Python or AI or natural language processing. Some of them are free courses, some of them are paid courses, but they're all in one place. You just click it and it takes you directly to that particular website. And you have the reassurance that everybody on our platform is there, has put this particular course on there or this particular blog on there because they have found it useful. So I cannot stress how important this is, because when I was there in 2016, I had to spend hours finding the course and more time actually looking for courses than actually doing them. But they're all here, and we've got little stars on there to tell you which ones have been highlighted the most. Now I know Brad has told me this from the moment he met me, when I was asking him, how do I actually practice? How do I actually get good at something? And he's like, practice, practice, practice. And it's true, right? We learn it from day one, when we're coding or doing maths. The more you practice, the better you get at it. And we understood that, right? We want people don't just want to go out and learn stuff, they want to practice it. So we have this thing called the Knowledge Galaxy, which is there to help you get a hands-on experience with specific tools that we think are most useful for data science. So this is coding, machine learning, statistics, and visualization. And they're little bite-sized challenges. They shouldn't take you more than an hour. But if you can do the Caesar Cipher one, that's the one I created. I think have fun with that one. But it's things that make you think and make you Google. For example, I think there's one on there that asks you to calculate a standard deviation using only core Python. You cannot import numpy. Right? It makes you Google, it makes you think, and actually understand what's going on under the hood. Because as cool as sklearn is, it doesn't let you actually. It doesn't. You don't actually have to understand how that algorithm works. So you don't have to understand how a random forest algorithm actually works. You can just plug random forest. But this will help you actually understand it and look at the documentation, understand what it's doing. And personally, I think this is something that everyone should do, because I know that as academics we're like, oh yeah, I'm okay at that. I can do it. This gives you the reassurance that you can do, and it's free, and it's actually really good fun. Networking. Okay, we do it as academics. We go to conferences, but when we look to make the transition, we just think, oh, it'll happen. But reading is all well and good, and understanding the field is all well and good behind a computer screen. But business is done face to face. Okay, and the easiest way to understand not just what's going on with the field, but to meet people in the field, like-minded individuals, people at the same level as you, higher level as you, it doesn't matter. They're all data scientists, they all want to be data scientists. Going to meetups, for me, was the most refreshing thing in the world. I'd never heard of meetup.com before I started working at Pivago, but as soon as I started going, I was like, wow, this is incredible. Right, so meetup.com is basically it's a website designed for you to go and meet people who want to do the same thing as you. So I've typed into this board games, I've typed into it golf, I've typed into it American football. There's a meetup for basically anything. But specifically here I want to talk about data science analytics. You can go onto this meetup.com, type in data science analytics or data science analytics, whatever buzzword you want to use really, and there'll be hundreds of meetups all over the country. Go to them. But there's probably enough for you to go to several in a day. Picky. pick the ones that are actually useful for you. For example, one of the ones that we run in London by Pivigo is the Business Analytics and Data Science Meetup. We have 2 people coming from industry talking about what they've been up to. We have 2 people from our course that talk to you about their project they did. But more importantly than just the talks, it's the networking. Talking to people in the same field as you. Hey, what are you up to at Deliveroo? Or what are you up to at Microsoft? You'd be surprised. I've met people from Facebook at Meetup before, and it's actually really interesting what they tell you. Like, just ask them about their journey, stuff like that, get advice. They want to give it to you. Go to these events. And actually, it's a really lovely place to find out who's hiring. So if you guys could get to either Bristol, London, or Edinburgh, or Cardiff, there is a meetup called PyData. And it's basically Python people showing off their personal Python projects that they've done related to data science. And if you can get along to any of those are probably the best networking events I've ever been to. And the best thing is they're free most of the time. In fact, yeah. And there's free food and free beer and free juice, free Coke and whatever you want really, because they're all sponsored by various companies. But they're generally really interesting ways to meet people in the field and understand what's going on right now, being at the cutting edge, kind of like research almost. Communication is key, right? It's what will get you everywhere. Okay, and I find communicating to people easy, but sometimes when you want to communicate a really complex concept to a business, non-technical person, it can be quite hard. But these 2 books help me to no end. Crucial Conversations and Just Listen. This one is more about talking and understanding what people want and building what we call empathy. Empathy is really important. I actually learned a lot of empathy from a guy called Phil Harvey, who's at Microsoft. He's a good friend of the company. And we actually have a video with him talking about empathy and why it's so important on our YouTube page, I think it is, and on LinkedIn, everywhere basically. Because when you work in business, whatever you do, whether you're a marketer, a data scientist, a chief operating officer, understanding what your stakeholder wants is critical. Because as soon as they realize that you genuinely want to help them, they are more relaxed. They're easier to talk to. So this one is more about, those kind of conversations. This one is actually how to listen. Now I know that sounds really dumb. We all know how to listen, right? But actively listen. Pick up on what people are saying. Answer the question that they are going to ask you. Right? Those 2 books help me to no end. Highly recommend those books. So the question is, how do we go from being really awesome at research and stuff to being really awesome at business? Look, it's actually not too hard. Like I said earlier, there's this one little bit of business experience that we don't gain as graduate students. And it's just about commercializing the skills. You have the skills, you have the raw tools. It's just learning how to use them on a different kind of data. So we have this program called Science to Data Science. I did it myself, so please feel free to ask me questions about it. It's very quick. It's 5 weeks. In 5 weeks, you'll be working on a real project for a real company that will add real business value to that company. And most importantly, you're going to be working as part of a team. Because in business, nothing is ever done by one person. It's done by a group of people, a group of individuals who then take that project on and build it. And these projects, you can then take the outcome or the experience and talk about it at an interview. Because for me, when I finished my PhD, I applied for jobs. I applied for about 150 jobs in 6 months and went for about 55 or 60 interviews, some of them over several weeks. And some of them would just drag me through a pipeline for 8 weeks or whatever, and at the end say, oh, sorry, you've got no commercial experience. That's hard. That's really annoying as well. Why did you waste my time for 8 weeks? But this program gives you that very quickly, very easily, and actually a lot of fun, right? So we have several kinds. We have 2 kinds of programs. We have a London-based program and a virtual program. So with a London program, you guys all come down to London for 5 weeks, 100 of you, and you have the focus is the project, right? The focus is the project you're going to be working on. But on top of that, you have some business lectures to give you a heads up on general business concepts and how they're used in the world. Economics, project management, marketing. You have industry-led sessions. We call them panel debates and networking sessions. So you'll have people coming in to talk to you about their experience of getting to working at Sky or working at KPMG. What are they doing now? And allowing you to ask them the questions that you want to know the answer to. Okay? Technical tutorials. There are a couple, but actually the thing about us as grad students in general is that we pick things up very quickly. So did anyone come into their undergraduate, their PhD, their masters, not having done any coding whatsoever? Yeah, I came into my PhD, didn't know any coding. I had to learn it. But because of that ability to pick things up relatively quickly, these are just there as a refresher. Because we can't teach you everything, right? The point is not to teach you anything. It's supposed to give you the commercial experience you need. So we have a couple of light tutorials, but actually you pick most of the stuff up you need on the job, which is what will happen in reality anyway. We also have a dedicated CV and career session for you to sort of work with our COO. We'll give you a lecture, but from when you start the program till the day you die, you're going to be part of us, and we are there to help you with your CV and your job progression. It's 5 weeks. It's pretty intense. It's very Glastonbury. I've been there. I didn't do it myself. I mentored on it last year. I did the virtual one, which I'll talk about. But it's great fun. I like to think of myself as the chief social officer of the event. So I'll help you to relax and chill out, but you're going to get a lot of stuff done. You're going to go from business question to minimum viable product solution in 5 weeks. Okay? You're going to learn a lot, you're going to make a hell of a lot of new friends, and you're going to go out that door and get your first data science job and never look back. But then, you know, London's a long way away for some people. Not everyone lives in the UK. Not everyone lives in London. So we wanted to try and put this experience to everyone in the world. So we have the S2DS Virtual program. And this is exactly the same. Full-time, you work from home, slightly smaller cohort, 20 people as opposed to 100. But still, you're working on a real project. You're getting experience of remote working, which is becoming more and more prevalent now. Right? You're going to have a lot of fun on really interesting projects again. Right? We're trying to put everything from that London program into the virtual program. And again, it's still 5 weeks. Your typical day on the virtual program will start with your daily scrum. So you'll stand up with your teammates and you say, what did you do yesterday to move the project forward? What are you going to do today to move the project forward? What troubles have you or will you encounter? It's 15 minutes. That's it. Everything else you take after that. But that is teaching you the agile scrum mentality of how to do data science in industry. And it's really important. Right? Then you'll have your project work to do. You'll take your tasks and you'll divvy them up and everyone will do them, but you'll work together. You'll have meetings with a technical mentor or an internal mentor, who could be me, or your business mentor who's from the company to help you understand the data itself. Q&A sessions there to introduce you to everyone, talk about data science stuff going on right now. One thing that I love them for is crowdsourcing solutions to questions that you're working on. Right? Really cool. And of course we have speed networking and online panel debates as well. So one of the things that I try and convey is how much good fun this program is. Okay, and it's all well and good me saying it. I mean, I've done it, but you know, we thought, what's the best way to do it? And so, to quote one of my favorite CEOs, is Steve Jobs, rather than me telling you more about it, we made a video. Now, I hope this works. Hey, first time.
Well, I had two friends who did S2DS 2 years ago, and they told me about it, and it seemed like a really interesting idea. I really liked the idea of using everything, all the skills I had from science, and converting it into something that I could use in the real world. So it's been on my radar for a while, and then when I came to the end of my postdoc, I knew it was something that I really wanted to do. The entire experience at S2DS has been amazing. It's exactly what I heard it would be. It's been fantastic. You learn so much because of lectures, because of hands-on work, and you meet a lot of people who are experts in data science or in biology or in chemistry, and we're all here together combining our efforts to make data science projects come to life. It's been a very educational experience, but also it really commercialized our academic experience and made it ready to deploy in the industry. And now after everything we have the job fair, so it's really the perfect transition. And I think as a whole the program is really amazing and very useful.
I believe that without the experience I gained from S2DS, I wouldn't be a data scientist where I am now. Because the role that I got, my confidence, and also the lessons that I've learned, not just technical, but also some of the soft skills, the communication, understanding business value, it all came through S2DS. And so being able to tell all of the S2DS team, my team that I mentor, and all of the others as well that I interact with through the social events and the networking events, it's just fantastic to be able to tell them that they don't have to worry. They're all very smart, they've all done research places, D-formals, PhDs, all this place everywhere, and they're good enough to be data scientists, and they just have to learn that some of the communication skills that transition and transfer into the business world is all they have to learn, not all of the technical stuff that they believe they have to. And being able to pass on that experience is very important to me.
Last year I was on the opposite side of this table looking for a job, and it was nice to be able to go around to the different companies, and I think it was definitely S2DS that enabled me to get this job I have now by sort of preparing me for how to interact with business stakeholders, understand problems, translate them into something that I can solve and give value back to them. It feels a bit odd being here a year later on the other side, but it's been a good year, and come do S2DS if you're thinking about it.
So at the start of this 5 weeks, I think I was still fairly unsure about whether or not I wanted to pursue this as a career. But the experience that I've had over the past 5 weeks, I feel pretty confident now that I'd like to go into data science.
So that's just a little bit from our cohort from London. So the companies that we've worked with range from very large companies such as British Gas and all these kinds of cool companies, down to brand new startups like Cal24K. And the coolest thing is that actually it doesn't matter the project you get to work on. You do get input into it, and I'll talk about that in a bit, but it actually doesn't matter. The goal is for you to get that experience, understand how to take all of your technical skills, all of your soft skills from an academic perspective, and just put them into a commercial setting. And talking about that at interview, and talking about that when you're looking for a job and on your CV, you'll find will increase your employability. So for example, me, I did the March 2016 program, and so I finished April. I started applying for jobs, and within 2 months I had 2 job offers on the table, which was for me revolutionary, because I was just spent 6 months looking for jobs and being turned away. But you get to go and work at cool companies. So some of our graduates have gone on to work at Google, and Facebook, and McKinsey, and KPMG, and Deloitte. But you'll find the right role for you, because we will give you that ability to understand how to commercialize your skill set and tell people why you're so good at data science. So, application, how to apply, before I say that application. Like I say, register@pivigo.com, you come to this page, click on the apply button, a couple of questions, CV, done. So, we have 2 kinds of programs. The London program, which is open to PhD graduates and above, and the virtual program open to master's graduates and above. So the London program will be running in August, and applications actually officially closed on the 2nd of April, but we do accept late applications. We just give preference to those who applied before the deadline, so you can still apply for the London one. We also have the virtual program, which is open to anyone with a master's degree and above, and applications are open for that now, and that will run in October for 5 weeks. So if you want to apply for that, feel free. And if you have any questions, please just ask me. That's what I'm here for. What are we looking for is a question I get asked quite a lot. Okay, so you need to have an intermediate level of coding ability. Okay, so what we mean by that is the rule of thumb is about 1,000 hours. Okay, it doesn't take long to get 1,000 hours of coding ability. Right, coding is it's something you can pick up quite quickly by doing, whether it be doing some of the courses I showed you, or doing some Kaggle questions, or doing the questions on our website and stuff like that. But you have to be able to actually put your hands on the keyboard and write that code. You feel free to use Stack Overflow, use Google, that's fine. I do it on a daily basis. Hence I was doing it on the way up here, doing some coding. Right, that's fine, don't be scared of that. Just as long as you have an understanding of the syntax and the logic within the programming language, that's fine. Communication, of course, like I said, you have to be able to communicate those results efficiently. You already have this mathematical ability, so that's absolutely fine. Enthusiasm, okay? Don't just transition to data science because, I couldn't get a postdoc. Look about it. Look around the field. Is it something you could see yourself doing, right? If it is, and you genuinely want to make that transition, come on the program. I guarantee you, not only will you have fun, not only will you meet cool people, make good friends, but you'll learn a lot about yourself. Okay, you'll realize that actually you have this ability. You have it all. Jobs and careers. Right, that's a big one, right? I want to get a job. That's fine, we can help you to do that as well. We have a jobs board as well on our website. If you do S2DS, you also get access to an exclusive jobs board from our partner companies, both past, present, and any in the future as well. But one of the things that's kicked off for the past 5 years, 4 years maybe, is the gig economy. Right? Not everybody wants a full-time job. Okay, some people have young families. They want to work for a little bit, spend time with their kids, work for a little bit more. Right? And data science is accepting that. So the freelance economy is strong within data science, and we partner with companies who are looking for freelancers, and you can apply for any projects that we have on there. You get paid on that as well, so you understand how the UK tax system works, you'll understand how the varying levels of experience allow you to gain more money, and if you're interested in applying for that, anyone can apply for that. There are obviously some requirements. Some of them may not have junior levels, some of them may have them in mid and senior levels. But if you would like to apply for that, please do so. I would just stress, make sure your Pivigo profile is fully fleshed out so we can make a true assessment of your ability and your fit for that company. So that's it. I'm sure you're all tired of hearing me speak now. That's all of my contact details. Please get in touch with any questions you have. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, email, whatever. I have some cool goodies here. I have stickers. I have the coolest code toy you'll ever see, Tangle. It starts off life like that. You just flick it open, and then you can either try and put it back together again, or just fiddle with it like I do while your code runs. I have pens, I have my cards to get in touch with me, and I have a little flyer about S2DS. But please, I'm sure you guys have some questions. Please ask.
To do some formal questions, we can do that for a few minutes, and then we'll sort of mingle and start.
Sounds good.
Go ahead.
Does the course cost anything?
It does. There's a small registration fee of £800. If you do the London program, we provide free accommodation, so there's no extra charge for that. One of the things I will say is that the costs, in our case, is just a registration fee. There are others out there that would like to charge you £10,000 for a glorified coding course. There are others out there that say they don't charge you anything, which they don't. But then you have to scope your own project. You have to find your own accommodation, and you work on your own. So what we've tried to do here is try to combine all the faculties that is real data science, teamwork, a scoped project, something that you have to work towards, and you have people who are there to mentor you. So you have an internal mentor to help foster your communication, usually myself and some of my other colleagues. You have a technical mentor who's there to help you augment your learning into understanding the technical aspects, understanding the data, and the algorithms that you're going to be using and so forth, and the tools and the techniques. But then you also have a business mentor from the company you're working with to help you understand the business goals, understand what the data actually means, and helps you understand what's actually going on. The cool thing is that there's no project manager. Okay, so you have to self-organize yourself because that's very normal in data science. So that's another key skill you're going to learn: is time and project management.
What about so what are the stats like in terms of the graduates of
Yeah.
that?
So what we would,
employment rates and things?
that's a good question. I would say that everyone who wants to get a data science job will go on to get a data science job. Some people will go back and finish a postdoc or two just to finish off what they were doing. But yeah, everyone who wants a data science job will go on to get a data science job. I mean, the other day, I was talking to one of the guys who came on the program in London, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I came on because a recruiter told me about it." So our name is getting out there quite nicely, which is good, and it's being seen as a recognised piece of really interesting stuff to do.
Yeah. How long has it been running for?
We started in 2014.
How many people with astro degrees do you have there?
A lot, a lot, because our CEO Kim, she was actually a former Hubble astronomer. So when she started the company, it was her doing this. So going around to all the universities, so a lot of contacts and talks were given to Astro. So a lot of Astros, but actually we've got a lot of interdisciplinary fields now. So we've had people come from Astro, from maths, from psychology, from business. We've had someone who's formerly like an MD of a company come back and retrain after his PhD to do this. So the backgrounds are very, very diverse, and that really helps to approach the problems in so many different ways. It's very, very interesting. It's really hard for me though to not play, like having to be a communication mentor. It's like, right, I'm not allowed to put my hands on the keyboard today. Just talk.
I guess when I'm giving my own careers talks, I drive home that point as well that you made about communication and this ability to, it's also things like you say, the soft skills that they call them. And
yeah.
So whether you're going into data science or whatever aspect you're going into, whether it's academia or the real world, whatever that is, we've seen it even just interviewing for PhD students recently here. The difference in the spectrum of ability to communicate during an interview was quite remarkable, and that ability to communicate makes a huge difference. You may think that your CV looks amazing, but if you can't sit down and give an interview and give a 5-minute summary of what you've been doing, and ask cogent questions and show an interest and passion in whatever it is that you're applying for, and it doesn't matter if you've got straight A's on your course and you're up against someone who's got a couple of B's and a C's, they're going to go with the people that have the B's and the C's because they can communicate. And there's entire government reports. There's a Waken review online, the industrial strategy, that makes this clear across all of these sort of STEM subjects, which is probably most everyone here: science, technology, engineering, and maths. This is, in some sense, a bit of a failing that we have in what we do in our undergraduate training. We try to rectify it a little bit with postgraduate training programs, but I try to encourage all the undergrads, whenever you have these opportunities, to give presentations or first-year tutorials. I have students who generally 50% don't show up because they have to give a presentation. It's not assessed, so we're scared to talk. But take those opportunities wherever you can to present your work, talk about your work, get comfortable talking about your work and explaining it to the right audience, because when it comes to interview time, it will make all the difference in the world.
Go with questions. A lot of people don't go with any questions.
Yes.
That's always really weird. Like when I interview for S2DS, at the end we say, "Do you have any questions for me?" And the people that go, "No, not really," I just think, really? You don't have any questions. No matter what job interview you're going for, whether it be a PhD, a postdoc, or a data science, or a market, whatever it is, go with a question. Look at the company's website. Find out what they're about. Do you want to work with them? Find out, what's a typical day in my life going to be? Things like that. Just have something to understand more about the role. I'm sure everyone must be hungry now.
Yeah.
Coffee.
I think it's probably, just let us thank Deepak once again.